And we are live. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Give everyone a couple of minutes to jump on and join. It's always hard in here to see all the different things that are going on, all the different people. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. We've got a minute down, get some comments coming in, which is awesome. So cool. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to another live stream by Orvis. I'm Caitlin. I'll be one of your hosts, and I have Mary joining me. Oh, yay, all these great comments. Awesome. So, yeah, we can go ahead and jump on into all the great content that Mary's got for us, but I'll start with just a quick introduction. I'm Caitlin Firkac. I am the category marketing manager for Orvis Dog. I've been here for just over 6 months, and it's been awesome to learn all the great stuff that's going on and meet all the great experts in the field that Orvis has connections with. So I will let Mary introduce herself because she will probably do that way better than I can. So yeah, Mary, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, can we start then with the slides?
Sure. I think we got them up. Here we go.
Okay, so good evening, everybody, and welcome to Orvis Days, or in this case, Orvis Evening. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the AKC's Canine Good Citizen program and some of the basic dog training programs that we have at the American Kennel Club. I'm Mary Burch, and I'm the AKC's Family Dog Director. And in that capacity, I also am the manager of the AKC Canine Good Citizen program. I'm a certified applied behavior analyst, and I got involved in dogs more than 20 years ago when I got a dog that was out of control and needed some training. I took him to training classes, and I got absolutely hooked, and it totally changed my life. Next slide, Caitlin. So here's what we're going to do this evening. I'd like to tell you a little bit about what we do at the American Kennel Club and all of the areas in which you could choose to train your dog. Then I'm going to tell you about the specifics of CGC. And then after that, Caitlin's going to provide us with some questions that have come in from our listeners. Next. Well, I'm especially happy and proud to team with Orvis on this because AKC and Orvis have similar goals when it comes to dogs. Both organizations love dogs. They both provide education and information to dog owners. Now, some people think of AKC as just dog shows, and some people think of Orvis as fly fishing, but neither one of those things are correct. Both organizations are absolutely committed to helping people have a good life with their dogs through training at home and in the community and in outdoor activities. Here in the picture on the right, you'll see one of the Orvis field trainers. The picture on the left is one of our Akc Fit Dog clubs, and they're out for a hike. Next. So I want to tell you a little bit about the American Kennel Club. The AKC started in 1884, and in the beginning, it was an organization where gentlemen got together to show their sporting dogs in conformation. Next. In conformation, judges evaluate dogs on their conformation, which means structure, They also look at movement and temperament. Every breed, and there are nearly 200 of them, has a written standard, and judges are evaluating dogs according to that standard. But as I said earlier, AKC isn't just conformation shows. We have an awful lot going on that's related to you training your dog. Next. Some training activities in which you might want to get involved in, depending on your breed and your dog, are field work up at the top. Those are the hunting dogs. Obedience, this border collies doing a scent discrimination exercise. And rally, very popular AKC activity. Here the handlers follow directions on signs that are on a course that's been pre-plotted by a judge. Next. Some training activities will focus on what the breed was originally created for, such as herding. The dog on the right coming out of the hay is doing an activity called barn hunt. The little dog with his tail up, that is cute, I think, is doing earth dog. And that's where terriers go to ground in tunnels that have been built by the event planners. It's not just a natural tunnel. And then on the far bottom right, dogs also do lure coursing, where sight hounds chase a lure that's on a pulley system. So the sight hounds are dogs that use their eyes to go after prey. You can think of the dogs once running across the desert to chase a rabbit, and the lure on this pulley simulates a rabbit. Next. Other fun training activities include fly ball. If you have a fast dog, we're great at this. Teams of dogs race over hurdles to a box that releases a tennis ball. Dock diving, where dogs jump into the water and they compete for distance and height. And then disc dog. You might have heard this called frisbee dog, but frisbee is actually a brand name like Kleenex or Coca-Cola. So the name of this activity is disc dog. Next. Two other popular AKC activities that you could get involved with your dog are AKC trick dog and AKC therapy dog. Therapy dogs make a fabulous difference in the lives of other people. This dog is actually a dog called a read dog. Children read to dogs and their reading scores actually improve. AKC doesn't train or certify or register therapy dogs. We award titles to dogs from recognized therapy organizations when the dogs have completed a certain number of visits. And then trick dog is a great activity for you to learn the basic skills of being a dog trainer. AKC has 5 trick dog levels, from the very beginning to the highest level of elite performer, where the handler and dog do a skit or a routine to entertain other people. Next. So let's talk a minute about Canine Good Citizen, or CGC. In the late 1980s, everything dramatically changed in this country with regard to dogs. There were some very serious dog bites that were on the 6 o'clock news and in the popular press like Time Magazine, Newsweek, and so on. And the American Kennel Club decided that we needed a program that showcased and called attention to well-behaved dogs and responsible owners. And it was from that idea that the Canine Good Citizen program was born. Next. CGC works like this. Dog owners go to a class, or if they have the skills, they train their own dogs. When the dog is ready, it takes the Canine Good Citizen test, and tests are administered by nearly 15,000 Canine Good Citizen evaluators around the country. Next. CGC tests are given at dog shows, at dog events, at training classes by independent trainers, and at pet stores such as Petco. Next. And I forgot to say, we actually have done some Canine Good Citizen testing at special events at Orvis stores. Well, the heart of Canine Good Citizen is the 10-step test. So I'm going to tell you about the 10 test items now. These are all functional, practical behaviors. Here you see people shaking hands. The handshake has been eliminated from CGC. That's another side effect of COVID. We now do either a pretend handshake or something else, but no more handshakes. And I think it's probably going to stay like that. As a result of the pandemic, a lot of us got very sensitive about spreading germs around. So you going and taking a CGC test, shaking hands with the judge one time may not be a big deal, but that judge or evaluator is in the ring and maybe shaking hands with 50 people over the course of the day, and there might be some germs involved. So we're going to eliminate the handshake. As you can see here on the first 4 items, 3 of the first 4 items relate to what you would need and want your dog to do when you're out for a walk in the community. And those are accept a friendly stranger, sit politely for petting, and then walk on a loose lead. Nobody wants a dog that when you take it for a walk, it drags you down the street like Escape from the Iditarod. And in Canine Good Citizen classes, your dog can learn to walk nicely on a leash. The last item, number 3, appearance and grooming, relates to you being able to groom your dog, him tolerate you handling the feet, checking the feet and the ears. And then eventually those skills that you start in CGC at home and in class will transfer to a groomer, a veterinarian, or a vet tech. Next. The next items on the Canine Good Citizen test are walking through a crowd. That's like you might do on a busy sidewalk, or I mentioned therapy dogs. If you are in the hall of a nursing home and there's a crowd, then your dog would need to be able to walk nicely. Also in the test are sit down and stay in place and coming when called. Stay in place can be used to manage your dog when you're out in the community, and coming when called is probably one of the most important basic skills that any dog can learn. It can get your dog out of a jam and keep it safe and stop it when it's getting ready to do something that is not a good choice. Next. Number 8 on the CGC test is reaction to another dog. This behavior relates to dogs being under control. And again, it would be like on a sidewalk, hiking trail, and so on. It works like this. 2 handlers approach from about 20 feet away. The dogs are on the outside. The dogs never go nose to nose. The handlers stop, exchange pleasantries, and continue on. And the dogs can't try to jump on the other dogs, lunge at them, or anything like that. Dogs under control. That's what this one's about. Next item. Finally, number 9 on Canine Good Citizen is reaction to distractions. The world has a lot of distractions in it, and dogs sometimes are afraid of those, or maybe they're aggressive towards those. So the way this test item works is somebody goes by with a cart, or a jogger runs by, or someone's in a wheelchair, and the dog should remain under control and calm. And then the last item in the CGC test, number 10, is supervised separation. As you can see here, the person leaves their dog with the evaluator for a few minutes. It's actually 3 minutes. They go out of sight, and then when 3 minutes is up, someone goes and gets the owner, and they come back. Now, the dog can't see the owner can't see the dog. We just have the owner peeking around the corner for photographic purposes here. Next. So that's the Canine Good Citizen test. CGC is dog training for people and dogs of all ages. We've had, one time we had a 96-year-old woman go through this test with a 14-year-old dachshund. Whew, when she passed that test, there was not a dry eye in the house. I still remember it. I choke up every time. Anyway, dogs in Canine Good Citizen can be purebred or mixed breed. All dogs are welcome. We make accommodations for dogs with disabilities. And to date, more than 1 million dogs have earned the CGC award. Next. Well, One other thing to mention about CGC is that there are other levels of the program. AKC Star Puppy is the puppy level of Canine Good Citizen, so the CGC skills are stepped down to a lower level. STAR stands for socialization, training, activity, which is exercise, and a responsible owner. And those are all the things every puppy needs to have a great life. AKC Community Canine and Urban CGC are more advanced levels of the program, and those tests are done in the community as opposed to at a dog show or a training class. So your trainer will actually take you for a walk down a sidewalk. Maybe you go downtown, maybe somewhere where there's a crowd. Part of one of the tests is sit down and have a snack, and the dog has to remain under control. Next. One more program I want to tell you about is AKC Fit Dog. So tonight we're talking about Canine Good Citizen. How does this relate to CGC? Well, it goes like this. Once you've taught your dog basic CGC skills at home or in a class, you should work on taking those skills to the community. I call it take your show on the road and to the outside world. CGC taught your dog to come or sit or stay in your living room or in your yard or in your training class. But now with AKC Fit Dog, you can use CGC skills in a park, when you take a walk in your neighborhood, or on a hiking trail. When a dog learns a skill in one place, like a training class, and then you transfer that skill somewhere else, like to a sidewalk in a park, we call that generalization. And generalization should be a goal for every good dog training program. Next. Well, did you know that more than 50% of dogs are overweight? In AKC Fit Dog, our goal is to get owners out walking with their dogs. We use the American Heart Association's standard to walk or hike at least 150 minutes a week. That's basically 30 minutes a day with a day or so off. Dog owners who participate in AKC Fit Dog and meet the goal can earn a free car or refrigerator magnet with the AKC Fit Dog logo on there from AKC. And then if you want to learn more about this and get involved, just go to akc.org and type Fit Dog in the search box. Now, when you go out for a longer walk, for a hike that might be a number of miles, or you're going to take your dog like this family on a camping trip, you want to make sure that you're ready to do that. And so when you're in the great outdoors, make sure that you have all the supplies you need. You can get those at orvis.com, and it'll be like leashes, collars, dog beds, water bowls. My favorite for something like this, that I think is an essential, is a Canine First Aid Kit. And so just look at orvis.com under the dog section, and you'll find everything you need to enjoy the great outdoors with your dog. Next. Next. Oh, there we go. So here at the American Kennel Club, we have an awful lot going on in terms of dog training. We hope that you'll come and see us for Canine Good Citizen, or to participate in many of the family dog activities or some of the other activities that I mentioned. Next. And thank you all for listening to that presentation. Now it's time for some questions that have come in. Caitlin, do we have any questions?
Yeah, we have a handful. Let me stop my screen share. All right. This is from Anne. So, if my dog passes the Canine Good Citizen test, can I take her on a plane?
Well, Anne, the answer to your question is no. Canine Good Citizen is a test of basic good manners where dogs learn what I said: sit down, come stay, behave around other dogs. For a dog to have access to public places, it needs to be a service dog. Service dogs are specially trained to help a person with a disability. The dog has to be trained on tasks that are related to the disability. So, for example, a dog that will guide a person who is blind. Or if someone has a physical disability, a service dog will pick up objects. If you say, I want to take my dog on the plane to visit my grandmother, I just feel so much safer when my dog is with me. I feel so much more comfortable. Well, it's kind of like we all do, but you have to have a service dog task trained to match a disability. CGC dogs are not service dogs. We love our Canine Good Citizen program, but it's good manners. Next.
All right. This is another kind of similar one. If they pass, are they then able to visit nursing homes?
That turns out to be a frequently asked question at AKC in the therapy dog department. Dogs that visit nursing homes, schools, hospitals, other facilities are therapy dogs. So passing the CGC test doesn't make a dog a service dog, and it doesn't make it a therapy dog. Therapy dogs belong to recognized therapy organizations. Those organizations test the dogs. They provide liability insurance for the dogs, and they teach therapy-specific skills. Now, a lot of therapy groups will say, as a first step, we want you to have Canine Good Citizen. Go and get your Canine Good Citizen training, pass the test, come to us. We then know your dog has basic good manners, and now we'll take you from here. We'll teach you all the therapy-specific skills, and we'll do our tests. So those might be things like leave it. If you walk down the hall of a nursing home and there are pills on the floor, you want to be able to say leave it and have the dog come back to you. If someone is sitting in a wheelchair, an elderly person who's maybe spilled some of their lunch in their lap, you do not want your dog jumping up there for that last bite of hamburger. So the dog should be able to respond to leave it in a case like that. Other skills are paws up, where the dog would go over to a bed, put his paws on a step stool, and raise his chin so a person could easily reach him to pet him. And then a last one would be go say hello. You walk into a day room, there are 20 people, you want the dog to go to one person, maybe you use a hand signal and give the cue, go say hello, and the dog goes over to visit.
That's awesome. That's fun. All right. This one is related to the other two. Okay, so if they can't take dogs on planes or in restaurants, what is the main benefit of going through the Canine Good Citizen program?
Yeah, one person one time said, I did CGC, I can't go in restaurants, so I did it and I don't get anything for it. I said, well, you got a trained dog. I mean, really, that's one thing you get for it. Canine Good Citizen provides a solid foundation for other training activities. Before you do agility, before you do anything else, the dog needs to be able to come to you, and it'll be an agility sitting on a pause table. So sit, and those other skills are important. It's, as we said, a prerequisite for therapy work. And then Canine Good Citizen can teach the dog owner the basics of how to be a dog trainer. You can use the CGC skills to control and manage your dog in the community, like a down stay. And then Canine Good Citizen helps you provide a bond with your dog. You'll meet people in classes, your dog will be around other dogs, and it's just fun.
Yeah, I think that's important. I know I like to think my dogs are pretty well behaved, but every time I talk to a new trainer or somebody that's really passionate about it, I always learn something new. So I feel like it's a great spot to just you and your dog learn a lot together. That being said, there's a comment here that you mentioned Akc Fit Dog and taking your dog on trails and hiking. A lot of people have their dogs on trails that are not always the most well-behaved, and it seems to ruin hike for a lot of others. So it feels like a really solid program and group to get involved with to not be those that are ruining it for everyone.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we've all seen dogs in pretty much in parks. I'd say I've seen them there more than trails, but I'm sure it happens on trails too, where the dog is loose. you got your dog on a leash. The dog comes from a pretty good distance, barreling towards you as fast as it can come. There's an owner way behind the dog, and he or she is yelling at the top of their lungs, "It's okay, he's friendly." I hate that. Oh my gosh. So anyway, at Orvis.com, I was looking on the Orvis page before we did this tonight. And in the dog section, I found this really cool resource. It's Orvis's resource on trail etiquette. And so some basic tips that are in there. And one is start by choosing a dog-friendly trail. And, I never thought about that. But the reason that's a cool idea is because, well, first of all, dogs are welcome there. But they will usually have signs at the beginning saying these are the expectations. Dogs must be on leash, or dogs must stay if they're off leash in an off leash area within 30 feet of the owner, or something like that. So start with a dog-friendly trail. If off-leash is allowed, make sure that your dog is under control and will come when called, or keep it on a leash. I'd say this is hard sometimes for some people to give feedback to others. They're afraid of the person's going to be mad or yell at them, but know that it's okay to very nicely but firmly remind somebody, there's a leash law posted at the beginning of this trail. Could you please put your dog on a leash? I've done that before, and the person has said, he just wants to say hello. And then I have to firmly say, I'd rather not. Please put him on a leash. And, so that they don't disturb your walk or don't have some kind of an infraction between the two dogs. And then the last one would be yield the right of way to somebody whose dog is out of control. Get your dog up close to you on the leash. You shouldn't have to, but step aside, get out of their way, and let them go on by. And then there's some other tips at that trail etiquette resource, Orvis.com.
Yeah, we've got some good stuff on the Guide to Dogs blog. But yeah, I think those are really helpful tips. And I think they expand further than hiking and trails. I know some of the beaches that we've gone to are dog-friendly beaches, but if you go just a beach over, the laws change and by season changes. So it's always a good thing to keep an eye out for all those rules and regulations, and just know it's all a safety measure. When people don't want unwanted hellos, it's usually just based on trying to keep everybody and all the dogs safe and controlled.
Yep.
All right, let's see what else we've got. This is from William. William, I want to be able to have my German short-haired pointer off leash. This is related to what we were just talking about, at the park, so he can get good exercise. He often runs off and I can't get him to come back.
Oh, William, I hope you're not that guy that's saying it's okay.
That we were just talking about.
No, William. Well, anyway, William, a German short-haired pointer, you have got yourself a great hunting breed. But without proper training, there's some chance that your dog is going to say, see you later, and go hunting or go on a joyride. Now, people who work field dogs are kind of sneaky because they make this look really easy. But what you don't see is that they've spent hours and hours doing something that a lot of field trainers call yard work, where they've got that dog usually maybe in a yard, and they're working on something like coming when called. And they don't start with the dog, 100 feet away out in an open area. It might start with 5 feet away, 10 feet away, 20 feet away, 30 feet away. And then eventually you get to the part of a park or a field where you're going to do field training where the dog's loose. I once trained a spaniel, and I kept a log, and I was so into it. And I wanted to see the rate of acquisition of skills over time on certain things. I trained that dog every day. I never missed a single day. Now, it wasn't always a hardcore training session, but we did something, one which way or the other. We went somewhere and did something. It took me 16 months, so about a year and a half, to get that dog where I'd say it had reliable off-leash control. That's kind of what you could be up against unless you're a whiz-bang trainer training multiple hours a day. Now, he certainly would come when called in the living room or in my backyard or in a park that wasn't really too stimulating. What I'm talking about is 16 months before I could go to an area where maybe there was some brush with birds in it or some wooded areas off to the side, and we knew that there were squirrels in there. That was how long it took to be able to, for me to feel completely confident that I could call that dog off of a squirrel if I needed to. So it takes a while. So if your dog's a pet, I would say, William, practice with him on teaching the recall, longer and longer distances over time. Reward him when he comes to you, and do everything in your life that you can to be more interesting than a squirrel.
I think that's all advice. And I think it's important to remember the hours and hours of training that go into certain dogs when you see them out doing their field work, or at this point where you can hop on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook and see the final product, the dog, but you don't see all of the time and effort that goes into it. But it seems like AKC Fit groups and things like that could be a really great way to give yourself the discipline to do what you need to do for these high energy sporting breeds or all dogs, really. I think all of them are wanting to be active in a way.
Mm-hmm. What I like about the AKC Fit clubs is it gives the people a community, and then if they could share ideas about what's the best way to solve this problem.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Let's see what else we've got. Cassandra. Ooh, this is a puppy question. Okay. I have a new border collie puppy and she wets in her crate. I read that dogs won't wet in their crate because they want to be clean. What do you think about this?
Well, we're switching gears. We're getting out of the field. So, hi, Cassandra. House training / crate training is probably one of the biggest issues for puppy owners. Now, if you're still having trouble with your dog, if you contact us at cgc@akc.org, then we can help you with the specifics. But I'll say a little bit about house training now. You're right. In general, puppies don't like messy crates, but you have to be sure that you're meeting the physical needs of the puppy. So an owner recently told me that she just was so upset because she heard the same thing. The dogs don't soil their crates, but her puppy was soiling the crate. It was wet every morning. And it turned out that the puppy was 9 weeks old. The woman got it on a Friday. On Monday, she went back to work, 30 minutes each way to and from work, and she worked for 8 hours. So that 9-week-old puppy was starting off with the crate for 9 hours. Well, it wasn't a bad puppy. It wasn't a dirty puppy. It wasn't an irresponsible puppy or a messy puppy. That little puppy just did not have the bladder control to go 9 hours. It wasn't developmentally mature enough. So one rule that people use is the same number of hours as the number of months that dogs are old. If the dog is 3 months old, then every 3 hours, that puppy needs to go outside. In the case of the 9-week-old puppy, that puppy was 2 months old. It needed to go out every 2 hours, not every 9 hours. Now, there's some things you need to think about when house training, like feed on a regular schedule, keep the diet consistent. You can't just be feeding a healthy kibble and then all of a sudden decide the puppy's cute and deserves some of that fat off of your greasy steak. You want to have a schedule that you live by. You'll feel like for a few months, all you do is go in and out of the house. You get the puppy, you take him outside when he wakes up, whenever you leave, whenever you come back, before and after play, before and after eating. And of course, at bedtime, you go out for a good little bit. And then somehow, if you can't do all of that, you say to me, look, I love this puppy. I'm committed to this puppy. I want to keep this puppy, but I have to have my job. I have to go to work. I can't work at home. I don't know what to do. Well, then you might want to look at a dog walker. Or do you have a neighbor who might want to come in and help you out, take the puppy out a couple times a day until it gets a little older? If you can't do that, maybe you think about not doing the crate right now, but is there a room in your house, like a kitchen with a tile floor, where you can put a baby gate across the kitchen, a potty area over in the corner, leave fresh water, and maybe some chew toys or something that have been approved by a vet, and do that for a while.
I think that's solid advice. Hopefully this whole work from home hybrid future life might help with all of those those puppy things.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not just puppies. A lot of people will get rescue dogs, maybe,
Yeah.
that you get an adult dog that's not properly house trained. And the trick there is start just like it's a puppy. Start like it's that 9-week-old puppy at the very beginning with very short times.
Yeah, it's a really good goal. This is a fun one from John. What is the hardest thing to teach in dog training?
Hardest thing to teach in dog training? I'd say the owners. But it's a beautiful thing when you can teach an owner to communicate with their dog and teach it new skills and have success. Now, in terms of the skills, we've already kind of hit on this one. Hard thing for a lot of people to teach is off-leash control. It's okay when you're doing sit and come and using food as a reward and the dog's on a leash, but some owners maybe try to make progress too fast, and then they've got a dog that'll take off. So same advice, the world's an interesting place. Be consistent, start slowly, make yourself interesting. And then one thing about things being hard to teach a dog are sometimes that could be breed related. You know, like if you picked a skill like retrieve, so fetch it, go get something, bring it back, and you had a golden retriever or a Labrador retriever, you hear that word retriever in there, that's like a clue. Those dogs have been bred for centuries to be able to have a tendency to go fetch things and bring it back. What if your dog was a chow chow? And actually that's the correct name of the breed. Say it twice. A dog was a chow chow. It might not be so happy about this fetch it business. And in that case, you'd have to maybe lower the bar a little bit, not expect him to do it 30 times in a row. And maybe you would choose another skill.
And all the different great clubs and tricks and all the different leagues that you've got, you can find a perfect avenue for whatever your dog actually enjoys doing. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Trying to make myself interesting outside to my Irish setter is pretty hard. He's not overly interested in food. He just wants to see birds and squirrels and all kinds of stuff.
Birds and squirrels and leaves falling out of the tree.
Yeah. He's like, oh, what's that? And I'm like, do you want cheese? He's like, no. My boxer, on the other hand, he will take whatever you will give him. Another puppy one. I'm getting a new Chihuahua puppy and want to put her in class. Do you have any tips for finding a trainer?
Well, if this is current and your puppy's coming, please email us at cgc@akc.org. That's sounding like a broken record. Everybody's going to know that now. They don't even have to have it tattooed on their arm. But we can send you links to trainers near you, and then you can contact them to see if they're a good fit. And I would ask some questions. I'd say things like, so who trained you to train dogs? And how long have you been training? And then if you want to do a specific sport, ask the trainer if he or she has done that. So if you want to do dock diving, have you ever done dock diving? You want to do therapy dog work. Have you ever trained a therapy dog? Have you ever handled one yourself? If the person's never set foot in a nursing home, that might not be your therapy trainer. You might start with them, but then plan on moving to somebody that can help you with that sport. I'd ask them what their philosophy of training is. That can be, a big topic of discussion now. Do you believe in positive reinforcement? Do you use food reward? Do you use corrections? What's your philosophy here? What am I getting into if I come here? You said you were getting a Chihuahua. That's a tiny dog. I would say, I'm coming to this puppy class with my small dog. So how's this going to work? Are we going to have these dogs off leash and they're going to socialize? And if so, are they going to be big dogs like Akitas and Rottweilers around my little dog? Or do you separate the little dogs? Or what do you do about keeping them safe if they're off leash? And then one question I like to ask is, so you have these students and they go for 6 weeks and then they graduate. Now, do any of them come back and do more training? Because if the trainer says yes, oh yeah, we have a lot of repeat students, that could be an indicator that they might be doing a good job and that people like this training and they want more of it. And then I'd say my number one tip is always go and watch a class in person without your dog before you sign up. You can see the skill level of the trainer. You can get a feel for the style of that trainer, both in terms of the dog instruction, but also the human instruction. I once saw this person teaching a class, and she was talking about how important it is to reinforce the dogs. And midway through it, she got frustrated and she started screaming at the owners, "What's wrong with you people? Come on, you got to reinforce your dog." And the veins in her neck were sticking out and her face was beet red. And I just wanted to say, wait a minute, the humans are learners too. It's all the same. It's not just be nice to the dogs and abuse the people. So you want to see how they do with adult learners. Is the curriculum something you want to learn? If your dog has any particular problems, how would they handle it? It is a private lesson every now and then to solve your problem, an option. And then a main one for me, and the last one would be, watch those dogs and do they look happy and relaxed? If those dogs are shirking around and looking a little nervous, I'd be careful.
Yeah. No, I think those are all really, really solid tips. And I think that's a good sign too. If you ask, hey, can I come have a watch? If it's oh yeah, come on, we'd love to have you. I think that's
Right.
also a good starting point too. This one came in from Marcy, and it's kind of related to one of the notes I said earlier. What do you recommend if your dog is not food motivated when training outside in a park?
That could be toys. Does the dog motivated by toys? There's something called a reinforcer sampling assessment. And sometimes people with food, and it's not always going to be food, but make sure that you've done kind of a sampling of food items. So I had a dog that I would have said the same thing about, not interested in food at all. No, 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 no. No dry biscuits, no steak, no beef, no nothing. And then one day somebody offered him some ham. We were trying to get him to do something in agility. He started working like he had a rocket in his pants. And it was strictly ham. It was a food item. Sometimes it's string cheese. If that doesn't work, maybe a toy, maybe time with you, pets and hugs. I try all of that.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's awesome. Maybe, yeah, they just need to have a little sampling buffet of what works for them.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, and another one is sometimes it's a specific toy. When they train police dogs, they very often, the reward at the end of the work, they're not pumping them full of food rewards, will be a piece of towel tied in a knot. And so you work, you get to do a little bit of tug, you get to do an activity with that towel, and they're crazy about it.
That's fun. That's awesome. All right. Mary Ann says, you mentioned trick dog training. Is this something to do for fun? If you wanted to compete with your dog, would you do this? Is it some sort of competition?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I'm not sure if you meant it like this, Mary Ann, or not. Sometimes people think, I'm a competition trainer in that tricks business. That's silly, but actually, tricks is one of AKC's most popular training activities. Tricks can go from very simple to very advanced. So if you want to be a competition trainer, here's something. So let's pick a skill. Teach your dog to go through a hoop. How are you going to do that? Well, you've never not done it before. You hold up the hoop. You got the dog on one side. You're holding the food reward on the other. You call him through and you give him the treat. Then you want him to jump through the hoop. So you raise the hoop an inch. Repeat the thing. Food on one side, dog on the other. Call him through. Give him a treat. 3 or 4 inches. Okay, that's easy. Now let's do the advanced version of that skill. What's that look like? The dog is seated at your left side. You take the hoop. You put it 30 feet away, flat on the ground. Go back to the dog. You tell the dog, go through. The dog has to run out 30 feet, take that hoop, flip it up with his nose, and run through before it falls down. Now that will, by golly, make a dog trainer out of you when you get to the point that you can teach a skill like that. So that's one good thing about if you want to compete with your dog and do more advanced things. Trick training is actually used as a stress reliever for a lot of competition dogs. And some people, you'll see them getting the dog to do a trick at an actual event, take it over in the corner and have him do something and then reward him. Trick training teaches dogs to solve problems and to concentrate, and that's always good for competition. And then it's a good form of exercise.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good communication exercise between trainer and dog too, because yeah, you're just constantly trying to figure out how to communicate to the dog what exactly you want them to do, and that's going to look different for every trick or advancing the trick and things like that. So
yeah, we have an annual, and it's going on, being judged right now, virtual tricks competition in the AKC Trick Dog program. And the videos came in and they've been dispensed to the judges, and we don't know the results yet, but we quickly open them to make sure the person's video works. We haven't reviewed them, but I had my eyes on some little 6-year-olds and 8-year-old kids that can do this. It's like, because there's food reward, you see the dog with the tail wagging and they look so happy. And then the kids, they're not going to break the rules. Show them how to do it, and then they'll do it, and they are having wonderful success. It's a great activity.
That's awesome. That's so fun. Are they like set tricks, or is it whatever anybody wants to try and
In the
get
adult
there?
competition, an elite performer, they make a story or a routine and they do that. So it might be the dog is the Pink Panther going to find something, or Indiana Bones instead of Indiana Jones going to find the lost bark or something. And they do their routine. It can be 6 minutes long. That's for the adults. And then the kids just compete at whatever level they're learning, and they can do 10 isolated tricks.
That's so fun. Love that. All right, we're getting close to time. We've got another one, and this is a very relevant one. With COVID, how are you handling dog training to keep people safe? I know you mentioned during your presentation some changes in handshaking and stuff like that, but any other type of precautions you see staying or
I guess this means how we handling classes and dog events and CGC testing. AKC has developed a very detailed list of best practices that are designed to keep everybody safe. So they involve social distancing, 6 feet apart, using masks, in some cases gloves, regular cleaning and disinfecting, planning activities so they're not crowded and people are not close. Some activities, like the CGC evaluators, are moving their indoor classes outside for the time being, and that's a good thing. And then, as you said, Caitlin, some specifics have been modified, like doing away with the handshake in CGC. And then there are going to be people that are going to say, you know, I'm an older person, I have an autoimmune disease, I'm immunocompromised, I'm just not ready to chance this and go back. But I love dog training and I miss it. So I'm so happy that AKC has developed kind of a rich menu of virtual training options. If you like agility, ACT Agility, which is the very beginning agility course test, can be done at home. You can set up a course in your yard with a friend or two or by yourself. You have someone video, you send that to a judge that's been approved and earn your title like that, and you never go to an actual event. And that's for beginning agility. Same thing for rally and obedience. There are virtual options. And then Canine Good Citizen couldn't really be changed to be virtual because it involves the evaluator handling the dog. It involves a crowd scene. It involves a distraction dog. So the way we did that was implement a new program called Virtual Home Manners, 2 versions, one for puppy, one for adults. And you do all of the good home manners things for dogs. What happens when the doorbell rings? Does your dog go crazy, or will it sit nicely and behave while you open the door and take a package from someone? And that's on the test. And somebody videos you. You send in the video to an evaluator, and you can earn a title.
Well, the virtual options are really cool to see how all different organizations and companies and everyone has shuffled to virtual, but also really awesome to still have all of the in-person workshops and things. I think is really important for people and their dogs. I think that community piece is really crucial, and I think that's a fun thing to think about. I know I'm interested to see what ones are close by to me, just because I want
to see those setters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I have one question from myself as we've been sitting here chatting. Both my dogs, I like to think they're well behaved. I would love to jump in and join one of these programs, but I was also curious if you think joining, going through the Canine Good Citizen and joining some of the local AKC groups. Is that a good way of dipping your toes to see how other people become dog trainers? Like you get access to people in the network and figuring out how to see if that's a fun path for certain people?
I think that's a great way to do it, is
Yeah.
to take a class with a skilled trainer in an area of your interest. So it might be you start with Canine Good Citizen, but you might try agility, you might try rally, you might try something else. Watch that trainer, see how they do, and then decide if that's something that you would want to do.
Yeah, and it just opens up connections and network and all kinds of stuff like that, which I think are really important. So
yeah,
awesome.
A lot of people call and say, I want to be a dog trainer. How do I do it? There's sort of a coolness factor to it. But then you say, well, have you trained a dog yet? And if they haven't, then I tell them that's the first step. Pick some area that you like that has a standard and train the dog to that standard and see if you can do it, because you're going to be telling other people how to do it if you become a trainer.
Yeah.
My next thing, if I had to do something new, would be move on over to your area and try out field work, I think.
Yeah. It's definitely cool. Lots to learn, a lot of real cool stuff, but awesome. Well, I think we got, I haven't seen anything else come in the last couple of minutes, but I think that this was really great stuff. I know I'm super inspired to go check out who's near me and what clubs I can get my dogs into, because I know they're kind of bored with the backyard life. But really appreciate your time, Mary, and hope everyone got some good information out of this. I know Mary said it a few times where to look into all this great information that was talked about and the different emails that you can reach out to. But, we have one question. Go ahead, Susan. Don't want to end before we have another one coming through. But also, if we don't get to it again, I know, Mary, you mentioned the email that everyone can reach out to. You can go ahead and spit that off again one more time. I don't think I have it memorized quite yet.
Yeah. So I just want to thank Caitlin for managing the questions. She did a great job, and I'll thank Orvis for inviting me. I'm so honored to be here, and Orvis is committed to helping people give their dogs a great life, and I really value that. So thanks to everybody who came and listened. And if you have a question, that email address is cgc@akc.org, cgc@akc.org, and we'll be happy to help you.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Appreciate the time and hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.